The movie begins with the introduction of the main character, Pele. Pele is a shy and quiet 12-year-old with no friends. He generally goes unnoticed, making him feel like a tiny ant in an anthill. Pele also has a secret crush on one of his classmates, Amanda. Unlike Pele, Amanda is popular among the students and has no idea of Pele's existence. Amanda's sister, Ida, is also in the same class, but she is the polar opposite of Amanda. While Amanda behaves appropriately all the time, Ida is outspoken and doesn't care about her outward appearance. One day after school, while Pele is eating an apple, he hears a commotion nearby. He sneaks up to check and finds two students bullying a boy without thinking twice. He throws his apple at the bullies in an attempt to stop them. Unfortunately, he's spotted and the bullies start chasing after him. After a bit of running, Pele escapes from them after hiding behind some bushes. Suddenly, an ant crawls up his leg and bites him. Pele feels a sudden itch but doesn't pay much attention to it. After realizing that the bullies have left, Pele comes out of his hiding spot and finds himself standing in front of an old house. Right then he's again bit by the same ant on his neck. This time, however, Pele gets dizzy and falls to the ground. In the process, he sees someone approaching him, but before he can recognize the stranger, Pele loses consciousness. A few hours later, Pele wakes up and gets astounded when he realizes it's night. He rushes to his home and goes directly to sleep without having dinner. In his dream, he sees thousands of vans swarming him. Pele wakes up scared and thinks that something terrible is about to happen. The next morning, Pele gets up and sees his chocolate-smeared lips in the bathroom mirror as he gets out of his room. He's shocked to see the empty wrappers and packets of different snacks and sweet foods during breakfast. Pele grabs a milk carton and pours milk into his cup when suddenly the box sticks to his hand. It's so firmly stuck that his father has to help him get it off. After this, Pele tries to drink his juice, but as soon as he holds the glass, it shatters into pieces. Even though the parents are taken aback by the incidents, they still send Pele to school at school during sports class. Pele accidentally breaks the door while trying to pull it open. He also manages to knock down his teacher during practice after school as Pele is returning home. His fellow student William approaches him. Turns out that William is the same boy he saved from the bullies earlier. William thanks Pele for helping him out and talks about Pele knocking down the teacher. He also wonders if Pele has a superpower, but the latter denies it. Just then, they notice a strange man across the street staring at them. Pele feels uncomfortable with the piercing gaze and quickly returns home. In the next scene, the same man is seen at his house reading a piece of news about Amanda's father, who turns out to be the director of a biomedical company called 𝐓𝐞𝐞𝐧𝐬. The next day at school, Pele approaches William and reveals to him about the ant that bit him and the strange events that have been happening as of late. William, being a big superhero fan, gets excited about the news and he takes Pele to his house to help. There they conduct different experiments to test if Pele has any superpowers. After coming up with astonishing results, they begin to design superhero costumes for Pele to wear while fighting crimes. With a newfound knowledge, Pele and William head towards a dark parking lot where crimes often occur while waiting for their quest. They decide to use the name and boy as an alias for Pele. William then goes to get food for them, leaving Pele in the parking lot alone. Suddenly, he hears a woman asking for help as her purse has been stolen by a robber. Wasting no time, Pele chases the robber in his and boy costume. However, the robber confuses him with some kid pretending to be a superhero and starts mocking him. This scares Pele and he starts stepping back, but suddenly he grows up the wall like an ant. Pele's scale startles the robber and he realizes that the kid is not normal. He then attempts to escape, but Pele easily subdues him. After a while, when William returns with food, he's surprised to see some police officers escorting the robber away. Soon, Pele takes William aside and recounts the events. He then proceeds to show his crawling skills to William, but it backfires and he falls. Upon returning home, Pele wonders about his failure to crawl earlier. Just then, William assumes that it's because Pele lacks energy. He then suggests Pele eat some sweet food to restore his powers. Later, William also modifies Pele's costume and adds a belt for sweets and a smart glove connected to a cell phone. As time passes and Boy gets famous for his fights against crimes and for helping people while his identity remains hidden, and Boy becomes an idol for children and teenagers as he stops bullies in schools. On the other hand, Pele becomes happy as he has finally become popular. Meanwhile, William warns him not to get overconfident with a newfound popularity, as a real superhero focuses on good actions rather than fame. However, Pele ignores the advice. The movie then cuts to Amanda, happily organizing some and Boy posters in her room. Just then, loud music blasts, reminders rooms startling Amanda. She then starts bickering with Ida about it. As Ida leaves the room, Amanda sees the reflection of a man standing by the window in her mirror. She turns to look at the man and screams when she sees him. Ida hears her sister's screams and rushes to help. Unfortunately, when she arrives, the strange man has already flown away with Amanda. The next day at school, Pele is sad because of Amanda's absence. After a while, students rush towards the side of the building and see someone hanging from the roof, and Boy rushes to save the person. But when he reaches there, he finds out that it's just a doll. Turns out that Ida put the doll there so she could lure in Boy and chat with him personally. When they meet, Ida shows him a video of Amanda trapped inside a glass box and asks for his help to save her. Ida then tells him about a guy named the Flea who kidnapped Amanda and sent the video to their father as a ransom. Flea wants $20 million, and also their dad to step down from the role of director of 𝐓𝐞𝐞𝐫. Since Pele has a crush on Amanda, he doesn't think twice and immediately agrees to help Ida. In the next scene, and Boy takes Ida with him to William's house. William is shocked by this, as the duo had promised to not reveal their secret to anyone. He also thinks that Pele is taking a huge risk by inviting another friend. However, Pele convinces him by mentioning that Ida doesn't know his real identity and that they can trust her. Following this, the three of them begin watching Amanda's videos sent by the sleazy William tells them how Ida and Amanda's father looks like Lex Luthor, who is a villain in the DC Comics. His speculation angers Ida, and she defends her father. Soon a quarrel breaks out between the two, but then Boy calms them down. He then asks Ida about the potential kidnapper. Ida believes that the kidnapper might be someone who wants to take over their father's company, 𝐒𝐲. She further mentions that she doesn't know much about the company except the fact that it specializes in producing medicines and vaccines for incurable diseases. As Ida is explaining her theories, and Boy suddenly sniffs a strange scent and realizes that it's from Amanda's necklace that Ida brought with her. Upon realizing that Boy has a sharp sense of smell, the three try to use this power to find Amanda. During their quest, they arrive at the exact location where Pele was beat by the ant earlier. William tells them that the house was owned by an old lady named Mrs. 𝐒𝐞𝐞𝐫, whose corpse was found by the police 2 weeks after her death. Despite the scary story, and Boy enters the house and reaches the basement. There he finds a lab with all the necessary equipment required for research. As Aunt Boy explores the room further, he suddenly sees Amanda confined in a glass box. He tries to save her, but just then Flea appears out of nowhere and captures him in another glass box. Frustrated, and Boy asks Flea to release Amanda, but the latter replies that he's seeking revenge on Amanda's father, who ruined his life. The movie then goes into a flashback where Foley works as a biochemist at 𝐒𝐲. He's researching a different species, events called 𝐓𝐞𝐞𝐫, which contains a rare chemical that helps cure various human diseases. After a lot of study, Charlie creates a new and effective serum from the ants. He uses his sick mother, Mrs. 𝐒𝐞𝐫, as a subject for the first testing and injects the serum into her. The medicine causes her tumor to shrink, and her health begins to improve. Unfortunately, Amanda's father stops the research due to budget problems and fires Flea from the job for trying to threaten his position. Soon after Mrs. 𝐒𝐞𝐫, Malcolm passes away, and Flea is left devastated. Hence, he starts plotting revenge against Saxo Farms and Amanda's father to put his plan into motion. He secretly works on a new, blood-sucking head louse species. After some weeks, he eventually manages to extract a serum that provides him super strength and flying power like Aunt Boy gets energy from eating sweet items. Flea gets his strength by drinking blood. Meanwhile, in the present, Aunt Boy learns that the ant, which bit him, was genetically modified by Flea to create a healing serum for his mother. Soon, Flea begins to play mind games with Pele and tells him that Amanda doesn't like him. She just likes him, Boy. He also tells Pele that Wilhelm pretends to be his friend only because of his superpowers. Flea proceeds to intimidate the little kid further and stresses that he's a nobody. All of these words get to Pele, and he looks dejected. He begins to think about how he's never noticed as Pele himself, and how people only remember in Boy when in need. Elsewhere, Wilhelm somehow listens to Flea and Pele's conversation and calls the police. Unfortunately, Flea manages to fly and escape the police, leaving Pele and Amanda trapped in the glass boxes. On the other hand, Pele decides to stop being in Boy as he could not save Amanda. However, Wilhelm convinces him not to give up as Flea is still around. Pele refuses to listen to his friend's advice and gives Wilhelm his mask, daring him to save the world. The next day, Flea attacks the school. As Wilhelm predicted earlier, Wilhelm encourages Pele to defeat the attacker. However, Pele doesn't want to be a superhero and leaves the matter to the police with no options left. A courageous Wilhelm puts on a boy's mask and heads to confront Flea with a bug spray. However, as he has no superpowers, Flea immediately manages to abduct him. Realizing that his best friend is in danger, Pele quickly puts on a replica of the Ant-Boy costume and rushes to save Wilhelm on a bicycle. And Boy follows Flea to a forest and finds Wilhelm tied to a tree trunk. He manages to free his friend, but just then, Flea appears. The two kids immediately run to save their lives and come up with a plan to defeat the villain. Pele manages to trick Flea by discarding his Ant-Boy costume on the ground. Just when Flea is distracted, Williamson picks up behind Flea and opens the plug of the blood container, which is Flea's source of energy. This time, Pele is more confident as he has his best friend's support. He valiantly fights with Flea and eventually defeats him. Soon, the police also arrive and arrest Flea, who is revealed to be Dr. 𝐒𝐿. Later, Pele goes to Amanda's room as a boy, and she thanks him for saving her. She tries to kiss him, but he steps back and asks for Ida. The rejection shocks Amanda. However, she calls out into the room and leaves after Ida arrives. She reveals that she knows he's Pele and promises to keep his identity a secret. The movie ends as Pele and William discuss a new costume and the probability of another superhero existing. That was all from the video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe for more content like this, and hit the like button to help us out. Also, leave a comment if you want us to recap your favorite movie. Until next time, take care,